Clearly, it's not an easy decision. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today's nonsense is back in Historic. Still trying to take advantage of trying to stretch your wild cards to get them to go as far as they can. We still are expecting to see plenty of creatures in the Historic meta, so Anger of the Gods, Sweltering Suns, still cards we're trying to make the best use out of should you choose to craft them, right? So 4 Angers, 3 Sweltering Suns. Deal 3 damage to each creature, deal 3 damage to each creature. If it was dealt damage this way, exile it instead for Anger of the Gods, and the upside on Sweltering Suns is it cycles in non-creature matchups, right? Similarly, a card that I often pair with those two is another card that we're trying to get as much value out of as possible. Bonecrusher Giant. Deal the 2 damage anywhere on the one side, and then it's also a 4/3 that can both block and attack, should that be relevant, as well. So these are cards we've seen a fair amount of in some of our recent deck building excursions, and trying to get as much out of them as possible. Similarly, you may remember from a few of our different decks, we have played with Chandra, and Inferno in the past. This spell can't be countered, very important. +2, each opponent gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. This emblem deals 1 damage to you. So it kind of gets that ticking time bomb thing where you're going to start taking enough damage that sooner or later you're going to die. It also deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. So another kind of Sweltering Suns sort of creature. And then it doesn't really have a conventional ultimate, but it does deal X damage to target creature, planeswalker. And if it would die, exile it instead. With a +2 though, this gets very, very large very, very quickly. It can handle a lot of different, varied threats and things. And again, we've played with it in the past and trying to get something out of that. Similarly, Chandra Torch Defiance, another one we have played with a certain amount as well. Exile a top card of your library. You can cast it. If not, deal 2 damage to each opponent. Its other +1 is add 2 mana. It has a -3 for deal 4 damage to target creature, and it has a -7. And this is very important here. You get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target, folks. So this is actually one of the key cards in the deck this time. What are some of the other key cards? Well, we're trying to do a bunch of different planeswalker things, but the true key card here is Tezzeret's Gambit. Draw 2 cards, then proliferate. And for those of you who are unaware of proliferate, you may choose any number of target permanents, not target, very important not to say target. You may choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of a kind that was already there. So, counts planeswalkers, right? We can add loyalty. So what we're trying to do is get planeswalkers, for the most part anyway, that are easy to ultimate and take advantage of them. The Chandra being a notable exception here, but again, a very strong planeswalker, has the can't be countered clause, so, very good. And Vraska, another one that doesn't really ultimate easily, but it is relevant that when it ultimates, the ultimate is delayed by a full turn cycle by virtue of it plussing to 6 and then plussing to 8, but it ultimates at 9, right? So if you Tezzeret's Gambit, you can get to this ultimate a turn quicker as well, and it does ultimate relatively quickly. So even though it doesn't appear to be a quick ulting planeswalker, it kind of is, right? When paired with Tezzeret's Gambit at the very least. Similarly, Nissa Vital Force, it comes down at 5, can immediately plus to 6, and it ultimates at 6. You get an emblem with whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So then every single land drop in your deck is a draw card spell. Right? It replaces itself immediately. And things like Into the North replace themselves immediately. Things like that, right? So a very powerful ultimate. Not exactly a game-ending one, but a very powerful one. It can easily swing games. One of my personal favorite planeswalkers because it really changes the dynamic of the gameplay. So Tezzeret's Gambit in here, very, very nice. Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, the other key one we're really trying to ultimate as often as possible, does ultimate pretty quickly, comes down at 5, doesn't have a direct path to plussing, but you create 2 wolves with a 0. Then when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk. So it makes it awkward on your opponent. Do they block? Do they not block? That sort of thing. And then it ultimates immediately at 6. So if one of the wolves dies while Garruk is out, you can then ultimate. Well, it comes down at 5. It doesn't matter if they kill your wolves. Just Tezzeret's Gambit. Proliferate. It's at 6. Suddenly, every creature we create for the rest of the game is gets +3/+3 and trample. It's true. We don't have a ton of creatures. We have 4 Bonecrusher Giants here. The Garruks make creatures. We have a Liliana, which ultimates relatively quickly. Again, particularly if you get a full turn extra with Tezzeret's Gambit. But then we also have the land that Nissa animates, becoming an 8/8 tramples. Pretty powerful creature. And the Sarkhan does create dragons as well. And importantly, the +1 is, until the end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. So this kind of ties the whole thing together. We get a few planeswalkers out, and then Sarkhan just can have them all turn sideways and kill our opponent instantly. So even if we're not ultimating the planeswalkers with Tezzeret's Gambit, we're hopefully going to be able to kill our opponent very quickly with Sarkhan, or maybe over the long game with Chandras and things like that. That said, let's give it a try, shall we? All right, folks, here we are up against Bobo Sapiens, and yeah, I would love to keep this, except I actually wouldn't love to keep this. This is abysmal. We have 6-drop, 6-drop, 5-drop, 5-drop. We'll be dead well before we cast any spells, so we're gonna go ahead and send this one back. This one, though, yeah, I think this looks good. Let's go ahead and hang on to this. I think we're going to send back the Garruk. No, yeah. Oh, this is tough. Yeah, we'll send back the Garruk. This is a 5-drop. It's, being a little less expensive is kind of the deal breaker here. Admittedly, this one you almost always have to take down immediately, which means they might just kill it in response, and then we're just left with a 4/4 dragon. But at least it blocks if that is the way that happens. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cast an Into the North here, and grab, I guess, Woodland Chasm. That gives us double green, double red, and we will have double black here with Haunted Ridge as soon as we go ahead and make a land drop, Sure. You know what? Our opponent on Hall of Storm Giants and Castle Ardenvale definitely leads me to believe that they're doing some kind of, controlling shenanigans. So we're going to try and just get down a 4/3, right? If they're going to sit there and try and counterspell everything, then we're going to try and punish that activity, right? Notably, they did not. Okay, that's great. Yeah, this can destroy creature or planeswalker, right? We expect them to have, a fair number of board wipes and things like that, right? So them using planeswalker destruction against our planeswalker deck is very good. But I really hope they don't have Dovin's Veto. That would be decidedly inconvenient here. We are just going to go ahead and run out Sarkhan the Masterless, though. That has the negate. Come on, man. Rough. Okay. Yeah, this is inconvenient. Our best hope now is that, maybe they just missed some land drops and stuff. Well, that's inconvenient. Alright, opponent continuing to hit their land drop. Yeah. We're actually going to start on Bonecrusher Giant. If they have a Dovin's Veto or another negate or something, we would like them to use it on this instead of the planeswalkers that are almost sure to arrive. This also leaves open the ability to, draw a clue draw with the clue if they do in fact counterspell. Well, they consider in response. That implies they don't have counter magic. Otherwise, they probably would have considered at the end of turn. Okay, sure. This is all right. Well, then we are just going to try and resolve Bonecrusher Giant. And Blood Crypt go. Opponent going to activate the Field of Ruin, it looks like. They do. On Woodland Chasm, sure. This is not a big deal. We'll grab a Snow-Covered Forest. Considering every single land thus far is red, getting a single green source, not a big deal. And of course, we still have double black, so not a huge deal either way. Opponent fires off a second Consider. Draws a card for the turn. Main phase, Considering. Not actually considering. That implies they cast another Consider. They did not. Borrowed Time. Going to exile Bonecrusher Giant. Okay. Hey, that's a good one. Don't mind if I do. We're going to play the land because it allows us to play around any kind of soft counter stuff, and there's no reason not to. We are going to go ahead and get rid of the Borrowed Time, just in case they have some kind of, you know, damage-based removal. Maybe they're on Jeskai and they haven't seen a red land yet, or, you know, something like that. Get that value immediately. Then we're also going to be able to draw with the Clue here. We have our Bonecrusher back. Our opponent's going to have to do something, right? Faithbound Judge. Okay. Alright, well, we're going to draw then. It's another land. Well, and another land. Okay, well. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice land. It's Garruk. Okay. That's a good one. We're going to play the land first, just, again, to try and play around soft counter stuff. And boy, oh boy, there it goes. We're going to go ahead and play some wolves. Okay. We're going to attack the Bonecrusher Giant as well. They're very likely to block here. They do. All right. This is fine. They still need to answer what's going on here. The Vraska and Garruk working together in concert. Very, very nice indeed. Opponent foretells probably a Doomscar is my best guess. But there, you know, are any number of things it could be. Opponent makes a land drop with Seagate Reborn. And the turn gets passed, perhaps? Does. Okay. Well, combat. Attack. Opponent takes 4. We are going to sacrifice a wolf, draw a card, gain a life. Yep. Counter goes on to Garruk. We're going to pay some life for Tezzeret's Gambit that came off the top. That's kind of nice. Do you have a counterspell opponent? They probably want to counter this if they do. They do. Okay, it was a saw it coming. We were thinking Doomscar, but saw it coming is fine. We are going to go ahead and run out Garruk Cursed Huntsman's ability to add 2 wolves. Despite the fact that we could have emblemed here, I think it's better to wait. Opponent Memory Deluges. Considers. Guess I shouldn't. I keep saying consider. I shouldn't say consider, because that's a card they're playing. Thinks about their decision. I don't think thinks about is a card in Magic. Not to the best of my memory, anyway. Alright, so Vraska Golgari Queen going to go ahead and go up pre-combat. Sacrificing a wolf. Garruk gets a counter. And Garruk emblems. We now have a pair of 5/5s. We will attack. Opponent takes the damage, and yeah, I think we are still going to Tezzeret's Gambit. Paying a couple life. What say you, Bobo Sapiens? It does happen. We will proliferate. No reason not to here. And I guess we'll make a land drop as well. And go ahead and... yeah, we can pass. Opponent Doing lots of thinking about their decisions. Ends up going with Faithful Mending from the hand. Gains 2 life, draws 2 cards, needs to discard a pair of cards as well. 2 lands go away. Castle Vantress and a Deserted Beach. Faithful Mending, of course, now in the graveyard. 3 mana. Can bring it back. A land drop. For the turn, 8 mana available for our opponent. Appears to be passing the turn. Does so. Alright, well. Combat. We attack. Bobo Sapiens. Settle the wreckage. Okay. We're not shocked by that, you know, in any way, obviously. But, you know, I wouldn't say we're happy about it either. Would have been nice to kill them. But the game goes on. Vraska goes up. Sacrifice a mountain. Tezzeret's Gambit, eh? Well, we're going to go ahead and make some wolves. And yeah, I guess there's no reason to not do this as well. Yeah, okay. I was going to say, because we could draw into another Bonecrusher, perhaps. We don't end up drawing into Bonecrusher, but we are now a Spikefield Hazard heavier as well. So now there's 3 direct damage. Okay, opponent does flashback the Faithful Mending. Gains a couple of life, up to 6. Draws 2, needs to discard 2 as well. It's 2 Vanquish the Horde going away. That means they've got to have a way to kill these wolves, I have to assume. Alright. Opponent thinking about their things. Does Fateful Absence our Vraska that was about to ultimate. And by invitation only. Each player has to sacrifice some creatures. Inconvenient. I would have preferred to not sacrifice any creatures. But that's okay. We're going to sacrifice a clue in as well. In Tezzeret's Gambit. Okay. Fine. Hey. How about a Shadow Torch Defiance? Go up. Decline to cast that. Opponent going to take a couple of damages. And then... yes, we will put counters on all of those things. Darn it, we're actually now a land off. Could have Nissa Vital Force there. Actually, that might have been a little bit of a punt, actually. So, oh well. You live, you learn. That said, opponent back down to 4. Memory Deluge in the bin. Does have the mana to cast it, but not a lot. You know, would not have very much mana left over. Does cast as a last-ditch effort. 2 mana remains. They're going to have to get, like, 2 bounce spells? Well, no, they've only got Castle Ardenvale left. Yeah. Not going to be able to do it. All right, opponent. GG. Probably not the matchup they're looking for here. I assume their deck is far more sculpted to handle creatures, obviously. We've seen it by invitation only. A couple of Vanquish the Hordes. They cast a Settle the Wreckage on us, right? Pair of Fateful Absences came out, which admittedly those were pretty good against us, as was the Borrowed Time. But, of course, their first Fateful Absence was on a creature, right? So, I'm sure they were definitely regretting that one. As it turns out, I don't think it really changed the outcome of the game. They didn't have enough counter magic in the cards they drew. So we would have been able to resolve if they had destroyed another one of our planeswalkers. We had redundant planeswalkers, so probably not a big deal. But either way, good game, Bobo Sapiens. Good game. All right, folks. Well, this is what we signed up for, right? And Shadow Torch Defiance is one of the better planeswalkers to try and ultimate, right? Whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target. Sounds like a good old emblem to have. So, I don't think this hand is very good if our opponent's on non-creature stuff, but as long as they're doing creature-y things, you know, Anger the Gods, Sweltering Suns, is pretty good. Aether Hub. Getting an energy. Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. No, folks, this looks an awful lot like non-creature stuff. Unfortunately. So, what do we do here? Do we just run out the Tezzeret's Gambit on 3 so that we have things to do? I don't think so. I think we're probably going to end up cycling Sweltering Suns? Maybe. We might just cast Anger the Gods. Yeah, we're probably going to do that. Let's just cast Anger the Gods. Get rid of the Servant of the Conduit. They already got some energy off of it, so that part is not great. But, hey, did miss a land drop, though. That much is very good. Heck yeah. So, Shadow Torch Defiance. Go up. Tezzeret's Gambit? No, we wanted to cast that. That would have been amazing. Oh, well, I suppose. That's the cost you, pay for plussing for damage. Ooh, wow, that's pretty nice. So let's go with Tezzeret's Gambit, I suppose. Yes, submit 1. And add mana for another Tezzeret's Gambit. Don't mind if I do. Yes. Folks, Chandra ready to ultimate and gets to stay around. Yeah. Let's do that, folks. Let's do that. Sarkhan. 5 damage. And we're just going to go ahead, go up. And have Chandra Torch Defiance attack. Okay. That's actually not the end of the world. They spent their harness, or some of their energy on that harness lightning. It's actually kind of nice. So, yeah, let's go ahead and attack here. Yep. Then, okay. Manually tap here. And Chandra Torch Defiance again. And then add mana into the north. 5 their face. Grab, sure, a land. And into the north again. 4 game. GG, opponent. GG. They kind of got stuck on mana there. I think they intended to use the... Oop, sorry. Servant of the Conduit here as a mana tapper to cast their nasty haymakers. But they're almost certainly on Aetherworks Marvel. Which means, you know, they're trying to do something degenerate. So, I don't really feel bad. GG, Sayun. GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Ilkresta. Good luck, Ilkresta. And yeah, we're going to keep this, I guess. Start on a Stomping Ground tapped. Pass that turn right back to Ilkresta. And see. We might have to shock in. Okay. Nope. It's true we could shock in to kill whatever creature they cast this turn. If they're on Temple Guard, they're almost certainly on creatures, right? Oh boy, they don't. So immediately rewarded. We are going to wait, though. This likely is the counter, or the combo deck, right? So they want to be setting up combo pieces in these turns. Sure, here comes Luminarch Veteran. That is one of the combo pieces. So I'm going to pass turn. We're just going to Bonecrusher Giant it right now, not fooling around here. And this turn, we're going to Chandra Torch Defiance and put a clock on our opponent. Yep, another Chandra Torch Defiance. That's some damage that can go on our opponent's face. Sure. Overgrown Farmland. And Skyclave Apparition. Okay. I mean, we're not thrilled about that by any means, but it's fine. Hey, Sarkhan the Masterless can come out this turn. That's good. So, come on down. Make a 4/4 Flying Dragon. And see what happens now. Opponent. 5 mana. Collected Company's main phase. Wow. Gets Luminarch Veteran and Prosperous Innkeeper. Creates a treasure. Gains a couple of life. Well, yeah. Up to 20 here. Not fantastic or amazing or anything, but fine. For our opponent. Yeah. A little more life gained. Hey. Yeah. I guess we're going to do it this way just to get the Chandra onto the board. Because then, yeah, there will be a lot more power and toughness to attack with the following turn. We obviously could have Sweltering Suns as well. We couldn't or Liliana even if we wanted to, because we don't have a second black somehow. Not exactly where we want to be, but it's fine. Right, it's fine. Collected Company main phase yet again. Opponent thinking about it. Clearly it's not an easy decision because, you know, they're in the tank. Gets Voice of the Blessed and a Soul Warden. Voice of the Blessed grows to a 3/3. Well, folks, we're not hesitating here. Sweltering Suns immediately. Into the north to grab another black source. And sure enough, El Cresta is like, no, we're done here. And it's true. We didn't really have to into the north because it was very, very likely we were going to win. But I think we had to into the north because they weren't strictly dead. We were going to be able to attack in for 16 and put at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you or whatever, right? The emblem on. So they were going to go to 1. They were still going to have another turn. So they could have had a third Collected Company or something. It wouldn't be normal, but it would be possible. So making sure to set ourselves up for a Liliana or whatever is, the correct move. Even if it does feel a little bit like BM. Either way, GG opponent, GG. All right, folks, and we are back. Welcome back, welcome back. So the deck, it did good. It did good. It wasn't, like, amazing or anything, but we played 5 games. They were kind of long. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fit them all in, but we won 3, lost 2. We ended up playing against Blue-White Control 2 times. So I'm not sure if we're going to fit both of those in or not. One was a fine win and the other one was a fine loss, you know, and we lost in conventional blue-white control fashion. Actually cast Sphinx's Rev and, you know, everything. Like they were full on no creatures in their deck, sort of situation. Then we also lost to kind of a sweet cycling deck. They were using Ironcrag Pyromancers and the Improbable Alliances, and they had 2 Improbable Alliances, 3 Ironcrag Pyromancers, the top couple of cards. So they really kind of got fortunate there, but it was sweet. So I'm not even mad. Just maybe a touch salty, but not mad, right? And then we won again after that as well. We didn't really get any matchups that we were really kind of hoping for. Anytime you deck Sweltering Suns and Anger of the Gods, you're kind of hoping to face off against a couple of kind of really aggressive decks, you know, where like elves or goblins or something. Because honestly, these 2 cards just kind of win you the game on their own. So then whatever else you do to actually win the game is kind of irrelevant because you sweep the board away and you kill them. So the fact that we didn't face off against those means I think the deck actually might do better, you know, over a larger sample size of games, because I think truly aggressive decks are going to make up the bulk of what we end up seeing most of the time, right? So the fact that we didn't see those is only actually encouraging. I was actually also impressed with the way the deck played, generically speaking. We are on 24 conventional lands, 2 Spikefield Hazards, so 26 lands, but we didn't feel like we were suffering for lands at all, probably mainly due to the End of the Norths. If anything, and this is more of a 2-drop as well, if anything, though, I think we might maybe want to do something else down here just to give us a little more to do in the early game. You know, maybe another couple 1-drops, maybe just another Spikefield Hazard or something might be okay. If we're gonna make changes, just trying to make sure to have, you know, a very proactive early game and be able to not, you know, be at the mercy of our opponent, you know. That said, I do think it played really well. So again, these are actually 3-drops because it's 3 mana, 2 life, right? Remember, we don't have any blue mana here, so we always are paying the life for it. But as far as other changes you might make, I think playing around with the number of the different planeswalkers is absolutely going to be the key to making this deck work. You know, are we supposed to be maybe on 2 Garruks, 2 Nissas? Maybe there's supposed to be no Nissas and like 4 Vraskas. So we kind of curve out a little better here. Maybe we're supposed to pare down on the 6s or whatever. I don't know. And I think the more games we played with it, the more we would get an indication. But I also don't necessarily feel like the number of games we played, again, since we didn't really see the expected meta, there's only so many conclusions you can draw from playing 5 games. Admittedly, we still went 3-2, so I can't really complain about that. But I would be interested if any of you kind of have some of these wild cards lying around and you choose to kind of play with those numbers a little bit, what you find out, right? That said, it was a blast to play. Would I encourage you to build a stack? Yeah. Like, if you enjoy Superfriends style decks and stuff like that, I would absolutely encourage it. I think it was fun. And the Tezzeret's Gambit did exactly what we wanted it to. I was worried it would just end up being a 3-mana draw too often, just be divination. But in the situations where it was just divination, like, I was happy about it. Right? You know, it was giving us something to do on turn 3 when we would not have. It was coming off the top late when we didn't have anything else going on, and just drawing divination on turn 7 or something is great. You know, just turn this draw step into two cards instead. Very, very good. So I highly encourage it. So if you were thinking about doing something similar to this, absolutely give it a go, and then let me know how it turns out. That said, I appreciate all of you, and you folks have a wonderful day. I will catch you next time.